All right,
That was the perfect time for you to segue there, Mel. Anyways, yeah, I want to talk about kind of the latest.
What's your topic?
Oh, oh. You should have kept going. You should have kept going.
I was so glad I wasn't drinking when you did that.
Meta would be gone. He would have spit something all over his microphone.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about.
Are you going to keep going?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to keep going.
Stall.
I'm talking about people who interrupt, like myself.
What's your topic?
The latest buzz in kind of the painting circle. We don't talk about minis a lot on here. Here recently, I've been getting back into painting, so because I'm getting into the Song of Ice and Fire Miniatures game, which I do want to talk about eventually, but I want some more games under my belt, so I have a better understanding of the game. But Citadel just came out with a new line of paints. Citadel's, of course, the
pretty big paint.
Yeah, they're
as far as miniatures games go, they're the top.
Yeah, Games Workshop is the one who puts these out. They came out with a new line of paint called Citadel Contrast paints, and they're supposed to revolutionize painting. I don't know if they actually said that for sure, but they have been talking it up a lot apparently. Basically, the idea behind Citadel Contrast paints. So, if you've ever painted minis before, you know it can, at least if you want to, like, not just, kind of put paint on them. If you want to, like, actually do shading and stuff, it's a bit of a process. You got to put a base coat down. You got to wash your base coat. Then you got to highlight it up. Go back over it. Correct some of the mistakes you made, like me, because I'm bad at painting. So, Citadel, a lot of people just, when they get board games or get into miniature games, they don't paint their stuff. It's kind of is a time-consuming process.
It's also pretty expensive.
It is. And games, because there's hundreds of different paints. If you want to have different colors, you got to get different shades so you can highlight up. And you got to have like 3 things in one color, and then you make it washes, and you got to glaze them if you want them to not run. Like, there's a lot of stuff in it. So, GW's idea with this contrast line was to help people who are new to painting or who just want to do it quick and get decent looking models on the table. The idea behind the contrast paint line is that their big kind of slogan is one thick coat, is what they've been saying. You just put on one thick coat of this contrast paint.
Which is very counterintuitive to typical miniature painting.
Yeah.
And it kind of runs against the whole, like, you got to have, like, 3 shades of this color to highlight your thing. No, it's all in one pot now. It's basically shade and, like, paint. A lot of people I've seen recommend, like, putting a base coat down beforehand and then using it basically as like your shade and highlight. But the idea is that it's kind of all those 3 things in one. You can prime a model with their new line of primers, which are supposed to go with the contrast paints. They're supposed to be more smooth and put down like a better coat for them to help bring out the brights. I bought a few pots of it to test them out, and I kind of wanted to give kind of what I thought about them at least. So I had a D&D primed model. I should probably take pictures of them to put on the thing, maybe. But I have a D&D. Those models come pre-primed already in gray. I have a model I primed gray that I splattered some paint on just to see what it looked like. And I had a black one. I don't have any white primer. And a lot of people use white primer for this. So I kind of want to test that by myself too. But
I think
the GW cans of primer are like, I think $20 for this.
I've never used their cans.
I just use Walmart, like $5 primer. It works fine. I just don't have any white for it. I almost want to splurge and buy one just to see and compare it, but I don't care enough probably. So my kind of impressions on it. Don't use it on black primer. I got a brighter kind of blue, not quite like the super bright, like almost turquoise color, but like a royal blue color. I tried to paint a cloak on one of my Song of Ice and Fire minis, and it did not show up well at all on the black. So this is not made for like black paints, and they don't have a black primer. The two primer colors I think they came out with were pure white and kind of like an off egg white. So they want you to use it on like lighter prime minis. And the white primer usually is for, it kind of like highlights brighter colors anyways. It makes your minis less dull, I guess is the way to say it. So I did it on a gray mini as well. It works a lot better on gray prime stuff. The colors, at least that I got, seem to work pretty well. The pigment gets on there. The idea is that it will get into the recesses and darken those like a shade. It'll kind of not overwhelm and dull your base coat like a shade typically will. And it's supposed to highlight the edges. It kind of dries in reverse. The higher parts of the minis will dry first, but it does stay wet a pretty long time. Even wetter than like your normal washes and shades. At least from what I thought. Now I haven't like actually timed it out and tested it, but it does feel like they stay wet a bit longer. So that's kind of a downside. You can't just you kind of have to like paint one section, then go to a complete other section that isn't touching it. Because if you mix them together, it's not as easy to correct as like a typical like base layer paint or highlight paint is, where you can just kind of like either get like a wet brush, and kind of like correct your mistake where you went over it, or just like wait for it to dry and dab back over it. These take a lot longer to dry, so you kind of want to go from like a boots to like a helmet, then maybe to like the flesh tones, and then like the cloak, or whatever. I think that's the best way to use them, but they do surprisingly show up on gray. They do like shade the recesses pretty well, at least the colors I got.
I've seen some of the pictures. They look pretty nice. Like,
yeah, and
for the amount of time it takes, people are
colors.
saying it takes.
Let's see. I'd gotten Telesar Blue yesterday and Space Wolves Gray yesterday, which is a kind of grayer blue color, not your more deeper gray. And on my lunch break today, I went and got a pot of Blood Angel Red, because I want to use these potentially for Song of Ice and Fire for the Lannister army is red. But so yeah, you paint really quick. I think it does accomplish if you're looking to just get something painted really easily, and you like don't want to spend a whole lot of time doing it, but you do like having your models painted, I think this is actually kind of the way to go. At least the paints I've got, like, they seem to work well. I have seen people say that some of like the grays don't work well really at all.
I've heard the yellow is really good, I think.
Yeah, I've heard good things about the yellow, and the browns. The yellows and the like the earth tones is what I've heard the best stuff about. And yeah, I've seen some of the stuff people have done with them, and it looks good, and I think it's great for beginners because it's kind of just like almost like color by number kind of thing. Like, you're just painting the numbers. You don't have to worry about like shading. You can kind of like get your stuff out there and maybe like learn highlighting techniques and stuff later on if you're just getting into painting. I think it's a good introduction to it, because it does make your models look pretty decent. It's not going to be as good as if you actually washed it and actually highlight it, and you can go up and highlight even more on these. So it seems great for Mao and I were talking about this earlier, like stuff where you got big armies and you just want to paint them really fast, because I painted both my minis in like 15 minutes.
This is probably the best thing for an Imperial Guard army, where you have like a unit of 30 models, and that's one cheap unit.
Yeah.
Being able to speed through that, like, oof. Whereas, like, especially with the new Primus Marines and stuff, like, Space Marines can be really low model count, and so you don't mind spending like your entire army might be 12 units or models or whatever, and you don't care about spending taking the time to really get at those instead of 12 120.
That would be 36 models. Well, really, really cool to see, like on a battlefield, so to speak. Yeah, trying to paint all those down to the details.
Yeah, and I think these are going to make like a lot of people will get really detailed and really good looking models when you pick them up and look at them. Like they'll look really good, but most people are going to be looking at your models from far away.
Yeah. Even you
like while you're playing. Like
it's not something you want to submit to like you don't want to use these if you're trying to win like a competition. Definitely. And that's not what GW's not claiming that that's what you're going to get. It's more just for like, it's almost like marketed more towards like casual war gamers
and also players. Like I've even seen on the I was looking around today when you mentioned it, like the one of the subreddits for 40K, like someone's like, this is the greatest thing for Warhammer 40K ever. Like
yes, they're really nice.
Yeah. Like basically getting people back into the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was someone who was returning because of how easy it is to just get paint and go, like compared to what it used to be, because playing with just gray, like no color models is not as fun as playing with something that has some color at least.
Yeah, it isn't.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, so you can just paint
it easier.
You just paint your stuff on there, base it, and go. And they got, I think it's 32 colors total, so they got a pretty decent range. And they got charts that show you like the range of shade they're supposed to be and stuff. So they're pretty neat. I would say another minor complaint I have, and this is kind of just the GW complaint and period, is the price. They're a bit pricey.
Yeah.
$8 for 18 milliliters. Which is
like
a pot and a half of the normal size, like GW.
Their base code, at least. It's it's a little more expensive than their technical stuff, and about the same price as their base codes. Weirdly,
yeah.
Because their technical stuff is $8 for 24 milliliters or 21. I can't remember.
Seems
but
really
I think
weird.
it's 24.
Yeah.
The big model, the tall boys.
Vallejo paints are like $4 for 17 milliliters, so like half the price practically.
And Vallejo is actually pretty nice as far as like quality.
I think that's what Tets usually goes with. I believe these days.
I have a bunch of Vallejos, like washes and.
Yeah, but Tets was also saying that Vallejo feels a little thinner, so you could run through it quicker. I guess. I think.
Yeah, I would say it is. It's definitely thinner than P3 and a significant amount thinner than GW.
Yeah, I have no idea how this compares. Like, so like a base coat, you might want to do like, I think you're supposed to do like 3 layers of your coat.
3 thin layers. Yeah,
There's
right, but they're thin layers.
They're all thin layers, and you generally tend to do. I mean, you could do 2 layers and make it just a teeny bit. And then you could do like detailed layers after that.
Yeah. I was just saying for like, I don't know how quickly it compares. So like, if you're doing 3 layers, but they're thinner layers of the normal paint, and as opposed to 1 layer of this that you don't have to water down, I just don't know how quickly you're going to burn through one or the other.
Yeah.
Like I have no idea.
I used I letted mine down a little bit, and
like
I did put 1 coat on it, and it did look fine. I've seen some people put like 2 on there, and they still it still looks fine. It might mess up some of your shading on some. I've seen some people say on more detailed minis that are especially more detailed towards the bottom part, it does tend to pull. So you got to be careful and make sure you spread it out on your brush. Don't let it just sit there and well up in like one area, or it'll kind of like you want to do with your wash. You want to paint it on like a wash almost. So. But, yeah, they take a lot of dry. But other than that, I mean, if you're painting like a whole unit, which is why I wanted to see if I like these things, because it probably took me a good 2 weeks of how much work altogether would I say I put into like my 1 unit of guys for that game. To paint like 13 minis for Song of Ice and Fire, it probably took me probably about 12 hours total. And that was with like minimal highlighting and stuff, just normal painting. but being careful and blowing through like 2 minis in like 15 minutes each. You can do it in like 10 if you just want to like, really speed through like a unit of guy. If those are like different stuff. If you're doing like the same guy and going, all right, I'm doing boot, 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 boot. Now I'm going flesh, 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 flesh. Now I'm doing here, 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 here. Tabard, tabard, tabard. Armor, armor, armor. So on and so forth on like a whole unit of guys. Like you could paint probably in like 3 or 4 hours, probably a whole unit in like a day. And that's like pretty good. And I was like, I'm going to play this game at Gen Con. How am I going to paint a whole army of this stuff? I'm going to use some of this on them. So,
do you think you'll stick with these then, or this line at least?
Definitely these colors. I want to see what more people say about them, like which colors are good.
Yeah,
I'm really interested. I wanted to get today too a pot of the black one because black and white are the two obvious notorious colors in painting.
Have you tried painting 2 of the same model with one like normal versus this paint and seeing which one you like more?
I have not yet. I do want to do that when I start painting one of these units, though. I'm gonna try that and see what it looks like.
Yeah, see how it compares. Like, see what the time versus and look of each one looks like.
Yeah, definitely.
Because like these will at least these will look like they've been washed, whereas the other ones you'd still have to apply the wash. And
you gotta apply the wash, then you want to highlight it back up and all that stuff. That's what took me so long on the one unit I painted was just washing it, going back over mistakes, like highlighting up. It takes a while, and you gotta and I don't mind doing it. Like I cut on podcasts and YouTube and just like sit there and do it. I enjoy doing it, but I also want to get my stuff done.
Yeah, I just have no reason to have models I need to paint. Like, I have no one to play with around, so
That's
like painting would be literally I would paint it and then put it away. So I have quite a few Tau units from 40K that I've just never painted.
I do like the Tau.
Next, baby.
I've also seen people say that they're iffy and airbrushing as well, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw that too. It loses some of the the contrast, like the shading properties kind of get. I guess, however, because it's like I guess the denser air, the density of it makes it pull into the recesses, whereas if you're making it as aerosol it doesn't end up pulling into the
yeah. So I think
all the little detailed parts.
I think this weekend I'm going to check out another game store, try and get the black and the white. I want to test those colors as well, but just because I hate highlighting white and black. You gotta get an off-white color, you wash the heck out of it, you highlight it back up the normal white, it sucks. And black is just like, it's hard to make look good, typically. So, at least in my experience. So, and I might even spring on a can of the white stuff just to see, if the primer actually, primes better or not. If it does significantly get better, then...
I mean... Have you looked up what other people have just said about it?
Yeah. I mean, they've said it's pretty smooth and nice. It's just you want to spend $15 to $20 on a can of primer.
Right.
So yeah, definitely recommend it for people who it does do what they set out to do. But again, it's not necessarily going to be winning any contest, but it will get your stuff looking good for the table, and it's cool. It's neat. It's cool that they had this idea, that it's kind of took someone this long to get this out on the market, at least. A kind of shortcut. So, man, if I can get a whole army of guys painted in a few weeks, I'll be pretty happy. I'm doing it an hour a day. So, so yeah, good stuff. Just, again, if you want to get into, and if you're curious about them, definitely look at reviews. Look into some of the colors you're interested in getting, because some of them are notorious for having problems. Typically the lighter colors and the grays and stuff. So, that is that's the new paint craze. It's funny enough because Tet's put out a article earlier on his or a blog post on his blog about miniature painting. So we were talking about it, and he was thinking about getting like a pot or two of it next time he gets paid. So it's just funny that we were just like randomly we're both talking about painting stuff today.
Yeah.
Rarely do. No, I'm not going to say rarely do we ever line up, but we do line up from time to time. So, anyways, that's me. That's Mao. That's Meta.
That's us.
And we are a podcast of Five Rings. You're a source of enlightenment in the realm of video games, tabletop, anime, film, and tech.
Let me tell you.
I know, right? Us together.
The power of friendship.
Just like my shonen animes.
Just like my Japanese animus.
Yeah, check us out on Twitter at Podcast5R, Facebook, P5R Podcast. Meta and Lily stream at twitch.tv/PSOFlow. And like I mentioned, check out Tets's blog at thegeekyspirit.com. He's doing more stuff about paints and minis and stuff. Check it out if you got any interest. He posted a pretty good blog post about, seemed to be aimed towards beginners. If you're interested in checking out painting. I might do a painting thing at Gen Con this year too.
We've actually signed up for one.
Did you really?
Oh, yes, neat.
We signed up for one.
Yeah, it's I think I heard you guys talking about it, or you talking about it, and I was like, that's when I realized that it was a thing. Like, I walked by them doing them too, and just never like registered exactly if they do that. But yeah, I might look into that. So we'll be back with more stuff to talk about, or maybe we won't. Maybe we'll just sit here and meditate.
Okay. We're gonna just impose Zen upon this speech.
Send us out, Meta. You never send us out.
Oh God, make it stop.